ASL Prime League.
All right. Here we are, everybody, for the first map of the first matchup of the night, Coda. It is going to be these two wonderful players to kick things off, the first of which, he is the North American superhero himself. Hailing from Korea, he is the blue Terran player in the top left.
CM Storm, Polt.
And in the bottom right-hand corner, he is a superhero himself. Spider-Man is almost his name. He was once one of the greats. Can he rise back to that level? This is...
Team Rocket, HyuN.
Yeah, I just realized, it's like, Marvel versus DC, This is kind of crazy. We got our Captain America and...
Captain America and Spider-Man are both Marvel.
Well, you know what? DC, because, damn, I can't do it. Indeed. Well,
so apparently, no, we got a tangent. We got to go Tastosis
all the
level
way
of
for it.
tangents right now. Don't worry, guys. It's like 15 pool versus 12-12. You guys know exactly what's going on. If you're watching ASL, you know what's going on right now. Anyways, so apparently DC Comics is Detective Comics, but if it's DC Comics, then it's Detective Comics Comics. It's like ATM machine. That's kind of silly, isn't it?
Yeah, like redundant. There are like a couple things that
yeah.
are like that too. I'm trying to remember like a few others that are just like, wait, that makes no sense if you were to like keep that same like letter. Yeah, like the acronyms don't really make sense. I swear there was something else that was similar to that.
Unless I'm wrong, and it's actually not Detective Comics.
Like
Detective Cyber Comics. I don't know.
Yeah,
all right, we clearly are really bad at this, like, referencing things to try to fill the early game nonsense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it went off of the... I mean, you can't really go anywhere after a failed reference, you know what I mean? It's like, damn.
True.
I was going to say, like, Marvel versus DC in the actual, like, game. Like Marvel versus Capcom, whatever. But, like, versus DC, like, even if it's the game, you can still have two Marvel characters play each other in it,
Dude, that's true.
So... Bam! Take that, Cybert. How about that one?
Still, you said Marvel versus DC. Oh, two Lings gonna be grabbing this Reaper, almost get the kill. Just to sort of recap Kidorinos, for those of you who maybe weren't paying attention, 12 racks, 12 Reaper into an 18 command center for Polt. So definitely more of an economic build, but just with the one Reaper, he's not going super ham trying to kill queens or anything like that.
Nope. It is your basic opener here, and HyuN was able to get two Lings over there, but yeah, the command center was on the top. So, I always wonder like this, there are a few Zerg players who have been opening with that pool first anyway. Who is it that comes? True comes to mind, who would do this as well every once in a while, like opening up with the pool, and not necessarily going for, the command center cancel. Mainly just the delay. You get two of them instead of the four, or the six even. And you're not really like banking everything on that. It's more so just to open that way and deal with the Reaper a lot easier. And if it's a 2-Rex, then you're in an even better spot too. So I don't know if it's something that's more common nowadays, but I still think the standard usually would be that hatch first.
Polt pretty much right out of the gate, he's like, man, rack CC doesn't really seem like I'm going to have enough economy. I'm a bio player. I'm not going to be playing Turtle Mech. I need myself a 24 third CC. That is a fast third CC.
Yeah, he's just going to put it up immediately before anything. Yeah, second guess is going to be coming up, but I mean, yeah, that is pretty quick. Hasn't put on any tech just yet. I mean,
Stim
Polt though.
just now starting.
And looking like it is going to be a little bit of a delayed third, and that is because the Roach Warren is already done. There is no Evo Chamber here with this at all. And
he skips speed as well.
Yep. So he might just make a bunch of Roaches, and just go ahead and try to do a bit of damage. And it's going to be pretty good because Polt, is opening in one of the most greediest ways that you could possibly go for. He's not going to have, like, any units at all that can actually deal with roaches.
Ooh, that Ling! That Ling
got
made it in! He made it in, he saw the CC. No
but do you
speed.
think not seeing the speed is like, it's a little bit suspicious, even though your Roachborn is there?
Well, the other sort of point that Polt has been making is he ran in with his Reaper, which, by the way, is getting killed in the main base as these Hellions are creeping around the third. He checked the third around, I think it was about 6 minutes, and he's like, oh, you don't have a third. Okay, so he's keeping an eye on that kind of third location with his Hellions. Then he dashes into the main base. He's like, oh, you're researching lair. His Reaper dies there, and at least he knows that he has a general idea of what he's up against.
Mm-hmm. Well, he doesn't know now because the Hellions are going to be able to see those roaches coming across the map. There is no bunker here at the front. Stim is going to be finishing soon, but it's only going to be Marines at this point in time. So
that supply depot wall is a bit incomplete and a bit not quite what you necessarily want versus this many roaches. The nice thing for Polt is it's only 6 roaches. It is not a big commitment at this point.
It's only there to do a little bit of poking, maybe force some bunkers to come out, and then it would kind of delay Polt while he actually sets up for a real attack, HyuN. But Polt is not going to be making a bunker. He is like inviting those roaches in, actually, and even going out onto the map in order to clean up that Overlord.
Every moment that goes by, those 6 roaches become less and less of a threat. If they would have hit, a minute earlier, Polt would have just been on the first racks with his second and third racks finishing up. But his second and third racks have been up and producing units for a little while. He's adding on his racks 4 and 5. His production is going to be just fine. He scans the main base of HyuN. He's getting, again, just that bit of intel while his Hellions are moving around on kind of the front lines, potentially looking to deny creep, but also just looking for that information.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I do love the confidence here and the fact that gonna say that he hadn't lost his Hellions, but gonna lose one of them, and he's not really delaying the creep by too much. He's doing a decent job, but, I mean, look it up the top over there. It's gonna be spreading pretty rapidly as it does go up towards the middle of the map. But, Polt, good for him, right? He did a relatively greedier opener and got away with it. Or just a non-aggressive, very economic focused, and he didn't get, like, punished for it by getting hit by, like, a gigantic swell of roaches or anything like that. So, for Polt's sake, all he really has to do is defend against pushes that do come out of HyuN, because he is going for that Roach Hydra style.
Certainly, Polt was very vulnerable, and as you mentioned, the Roach Hydra style, we are seeing the additional roaches starting to come up on that production tab. A safety tank also going to be coming out for Polt. There's going to be the scout for HyuN. He's running all over with his Overseer. But as you mentioned, Polt does have that third CC, and as he starts to get kicked in with that full 3-base economy, we're going to see the power of the Polt macro kick in. And of course, everyone loves to talk about Triple Mule. It is a powerful thing.
It really is, and Polt is a player who will definitely take advantage of it fully. Sometimes not really doing amazing with the splits, I don't know if it's sometimes he's been a little bit more focused on other parts of the map, but, some days you'll see Polt and he splits incredibly well, but then some days he just loses like a whole group of Marines, and, at least recently. So hopefully he will be able to go and trade efficiently, and even if he doesn't trade as efficiently as you'd want to, it's not the Lingbane Muta. This is more so about being able to survive the push, survive to 3-3, and then just have a better army quality as the game progresses. So I think that Polt has recognized it by now, as he is adding siege tanks. He's also getting a few more Marauders into the composition, and also getting the +1 on his armory for the attack. So definitely something to note. The lack of Widow Mines is mainly because of the production of siege tanks. That's because of the Roach Hydra.
The second factor is going to be finishing up momentarily, so we'll have to see if he decides to immediately throw a tech lab onto that as well. Wouldn't be too surprised to see that. The additional tanks definitely would help him deal with the severe numbers of roaches that are out on the field for HyuN. 40 roaches. The 14 Hydras are also going to be very dangerous.
And if he can hit with 2-2 before Polt's 2-2 hits, that is the ideal time to hit. I don't know. I don't think it's going to kill Polt, because This is a crazy amount of supply that Polt has, and you notice that he hasn't been like using supply to try to drop. He's just setting up in a defensive posture and is saying, "Come at me," and I just need to hold it. I'm surprised there aren't even a few bunkers here, but here we go. He just needs every single mineral in supply, as the bottom line of HyuN is going to get taken out, but it's all about the top side, and as well as the third base for Polt. And when those roaches and hydras swing around, is it going to be enough? Polt is going to clean up the bottom. 2-2 has not finished yet, but the HyuN 2-2 has not finished either. It was only the 2 carapace.
Just barely not in time there, and now Polt does have his own 2-2. As you were mentioning, the timing was extremely close. Polt trying to give chase on those roaches and hydras. Some of them will likely escape, but he has just about stemmed his army to death. Fortunately for him, there was not a reinforcement path coming in for HyuN, or else that certainly could have been deadly. On the production tab, though, for HyuN, it's not additional drones or anything like that, considering his 4th base is up. He should be pretty good on drones, which, of course, that's just the huge amounts of Roach Hydra that he was pumping out.
Yep, and, you know, it was a decent trade for HyuN, but, you know, ideally you want to crush. You want to kill that third. You want to make sure that you don't have to worry about drops that are coming out of Polt right now. And it's just more so about the time that is going to be bought in order to get to that 3-3. You kind of want to make it so that it doesn't matter that Polt has 3-3, and you kind of say, hey, good for you. You have 3-3, but you have no units at all. Not going to be the case here, as Polt is sitting on almost even army supply. Remember that is roaches in HyuN's side of things.
That scan once again going to be revealing the army just before it crashes upon the third. Up step the Marines and the Marauders. This is still a lot of Hydralisks pretty much right here on the front line. The tank support is pretty much the one thing anchoring Polt into this position. He drops the sensor tower. He's beginning... Did he just attack his own tank? He may have. He's starting to drop that sensor tower so he can finally get a little bit of more intel, a little bit more forewarning. He's going to stem forward, try to catch out this Roach Hydra comp. This is still a lot of units for HyuN, though.
Yeah, and he's going to need some Vipers or something. You try to attack into those tanks as well as that bio, it's going to be pretty rough for you. Polt? Looking for a 4th base on the bottom left, realizing there's nothing there. A little bit salty about that, but, you know, it's not the end of the world. He can go ahead and try to get some damage at the 3rd, but he's alerted HyuN of his presence, and he's also pushing up on the 4th.
Little bit of a 2-pronged attack there, and HyuN being forced to pull pretty much his entire army supply. A lot of banelings over towards that 4th base. The splits, as you mentioned, are they going to be amazing? So far, it's pretty good focus firing coming in. Those tanks actually taking down a large number of banelings before they actually crash upon any of the units. Some pickups by Polt to save some of his bio. The rest have been evacuated. He's still up 10 or 15 supply, and he's killing that third.
The 3rd gets taken out. So many drones went down as well. HyuN down to 64 drones, and Polt does what he set out to do. He cleaned up the army and also was able to take out the 3rd. And now HyuN, you know, he's trying to transition into Lingbane Muta. You saw that he made a few Banes, but they didn't have the centrifugal hooks at all. They kind of got picked off. You know, it was a very cost-inefficient trade for HyuN, who lost a ton more resources in that fight than Polt did.
The small drop that could gets cleaned up in the bottom left-hand corner of Coda. And the 5th base will be established, although in a way it is kind of now the 4th base of HyuN, the 4th mining base, I guess, is what it would become. As you guys probably just noticed, 3-3 all finished up for our bio player, which, as Tempo will probably tell you, is kind of a timer for Zerg players.
Even when you're going for 2-2, it's a timer. This is going to be +1 on the way here for the melee of HyuN. When you go Roach Hydra and you try to transition into Lingbane Muta, you better do substantial damage with those Roach Hydras, because right now he's basically playing a Lingbane Muta game where he's just behind in upgrades, behind in economy. It's just
rolling into the 4th base of Polt is a whole lot of Hydras, a couple of Banelings as well. The SCVs have kind of been massacred. Only a couple of them were at that kind of 4th base location. A couple of them were over at the 3rd as well, but these medevacs might get sniped. No, the Mutas may not have quite the numbers as the bio turns around to deal with that Ling Hydra Roach comp in the middle. Looks like HyuN has been beaten back. He's done some damage. Canceling that 4th was certainly nice. Killing off a few SCVs is maybe not the end of the world, because it's still triple mule.
Indeed, and you know, Polt also had to lift up his 3rd earlier, so you know, he hasn't been mining as well as he would like to do, but he's been making things happen as well. So, It's maybe not too bad as he can stay on that third base for a little bit longer as he does have the 3-3. And HyuN kind of is trying to buy time himself, but that's not a very scary Mutaflock here. They might even fly over those... Yeah, I was going to say the Marines might have got a piece of that, but nope. HyuN on the back foot of things here. Even has to evacuate that base, and it's going to go down again here, Cybrid. It's just...
It's a dangerous location for a Zerg base, very wide open and exposed, and in trying to deal with that mech comp, it allows Polt to kind of force engagements. As we saw earlier, when HyuN tried to attack in that kind of fourth base area, his Banelings got absolutely destroyed.
And I mean, he had to use slow Banes for that attack, and he
true.
clumped them all up. It's just a big deal when you're using Banelings against tanks, especially with Polt target firing each of those groups of Banelings and just taking it out. You saw that a lot of the Banelings had to be used on the tanks too. The name of this game is just cost-efficient trades for Polt. And
Mutas and Lings kind of running by just outside of that sensor tower are, well, about... That is like 20 Banelings morphing in. I guess 16 is the actual number. If you can count or read a production tab, you would know that. At any rate, Polt and HyuN may both be going for bases kind of on the fringes of the map. We do have Banelings, as you can see, rolling in. HyuN is going to miss the majority of the SCVs, crashing into the bunker. Maybe not the most cost-effective, as the Marines and Marauders going to show up to help deal with that. On the other side, we do have that Marine Marauder group going to be canceling out the 4th, 5th base, whatever that was.
Yep, it's just not looking good here for HyuN. He's starting to be broke. He's lost all of his other bases. I think he has 2 mining bases at the moment, if you even want to call his natural a mining base. HyuN doesn't have the resources to be using Banelings to try to kill the economy of Polt right now, because Polt has a gigantic army at the moment, 143 supply to the 98 supply that HyuN has. And here he goes, he's going to try to go for it here. Can he do it though? Banelings not really getting the connections that they want to, and the Marines are spread out. It is just too much for HyuN to handle.
GG.
Number 1. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Iron Fortress, as we are in game number 2 of the first match of the night. What a great group we have, already starting it out with the nice macro TVZ. What will we see here with this player spawning? In the top left corner, he is up by 1. He's red, he's Terran, his name is...
CM Storm Polt.
The man with the clockwise scout revealing his opponent very quickly. Our blue Zerg player, he's down 0-1. He needs your cheers. This is...
Team Rocket, HyuN.
Alright. I'm waiting for that day when, like, the intros aren't actually on, and we just pause and we're just like, his name is... and nothing happens at all.
That's gonna be a sad day.
Yeah, but it'll make up for the times where we said it when we weren't supposed to, so it's all good, man.
I think one time I said the name of the team, so for the audience at home, it was probably like, you know, like Team Spectre, Team Spectre. Yeah.
Yes. Well, that'd be like me, though. Imagine if I played for Tempo Storm, right? Then it wouldn't even matter. You'd be like, from Tempo Storm, Tempo. It's like, wait, were you supposed to say that? Or?
It's I got so used to, when I first was like watching StarCraft, I got so used to Marine King Prime, I thought that was actually part of his name. Like, I didn't realize that Prime was the clan, because most other teams do like Prime Marine King. They do the team name first, and so I thought his name was Marine King Prime, and then for quite a while, and then I was like, oh, it's Marine King, and then I started to realize. It doesn't help when
everyone calls him MKP by default.
Yeah, too. And then I started to realize that some of them were like just play on words, like when Polt was Optimus Prime.
Yep, that's what they used to do back on. What was the actual? Yeah, when they were on Prime, like whoever would win, or I think you had to actually win a tournament, or I don't know if it was only GSL, but yeah, then you would be the Optimus Prime of the season, which is pretty cool, I think. Definitely when Prime was in a little bit of a better state, I would say, as well as just overall better environment for the players.
I actually haven't heard anything. Is there like some dirtiness going on with their
Well,
players?
it's not dirtiness. It's more so just they haven't been performing very well, and the overall morale of the team house isn't too great. They're like last place in Pro League. I think I don't even know if they have
they're
one
out.
win.
I think they're out of Pro League, like because they haven't won enough, so they're just basically eliminated because they can't make it to the playoffs.
They keep, they're getting they're the punching bag at the moment, but but I don't want to be like that. Isn't HyuN is also of Prime, who's playing later today, so maybe he'll be able to show us that it's not so bad. It's not so bad.
Something like that. Coming out in this game, it's looking remarkably similar to the last game. HyuN switched up his hatch and his pool timing. I believe his gases are a bit earlier as well, at least his second gas. I'm not 100% sure about that, but his second gas there. And then from Polt, third base is the difference there. He's not going fast third base. He's going into Banshees, so he's going to be looking for that bit of damage coming out from the air. Don't know that he'll necessarily like commit into Cloak. He could if he wanted to. Hey, look at that. He commits into Cloak.
And he does, indeed. Well, HyuN, what is he doing? Like,
late speed.
Yeah, I think he opened up with a gasless build here.
Mm-hmm.
Because he doesn't have speed yet. He's starting, that was the first 100 gas that he mined. And he decides to put down another Roach Warren, so a little bit later of a third in order to maybe do some kind of Roach push again? I don't know. I mean, I'm wondering how he is going to be pulling this off. Because the last game, he didn't really do anything with the roaches. Like, he made a few roaches, and he never did anything with them. Like, he kind of just scared Polt. But Polt wasn't scared at all. Like, he was out on the map, clearing the Overlord.
Those 6 roaches, as you say, they didn't do very much. I kind of got the feeling that there were safety roaches, and then he like, moved out on the map, and I was like, maybe they're attacking roaches? It's a 6 roach attack, and then he did nothing with them again, so I don't really know what he was doing. 2 Spore Crawlers going to be coming down as the layer begins as well for HyuN. This Banshee, it's always such a dance, because just because you got Spore Crawlers, clever Terran players will find those little minute angles where they can come in and do damage, whether it's gas mining drones or whatever, and they'll do those bits of damage. So we'll have to see what the dance looks like for Polt and HyuN.
Yeah, it's going to be a cool dance, too. I mean, probably not as much of a fun one here for HyuN, as the Banshees and the Hellions are going to be showing up. But, you know, the best way to deal with Banshees and Hellions is going to be Roaches and Queens. So the only problem would be that he wouldn't have an Overseer if he didn't make it, like, right now. Which he can't, because the layer's not done yet. So that's the only problem, I would say. But HyuN, you know, he's setting up in a decent way to deal with it. Just that it kind of cuts into your gas when you make all these roaches. Unless you're going to be using them in the mid-game, which is something that HyuN is known for. He does have a Spore Crawler.
For now? Yeah, for now, the Banshee's being pushed away, and this has bought definitely enough time for that Overseer to nearly be finished morphing in. There we go.
Oh, Banshee number 1 goes down.
Goodness. Polt kept those Banshees, just kind of rallied to the side. He waited for the second one to get in there, and I'm assuming he was hoping in strength and numbers he was going to do a bit more damage. That is definitely not the case.
Nope. Losing one of them and the other one runs out of energy. They only got 2 kills, I think, here. And HyuN with a good defense. Is he going to be committing into that Roach Hydra style again, or will he kind of switch it up? The way that it looks like with the upgrades is kind of pointing towards that direction, and I love this from HyuN. Dropping down that creep once again. You know, you got to be so adamant whenever this happens here, because you delay the third base of a Terran player, and it really lets you get some momentum and makes your push a little bit stronger, because the Terran army just isn't as big.
HyuN's got a couple of roaches that are about to step into some tank fire. He loses, looks like just 1 there. This Hellion is asking for it if he keeps chasing those roaches.
There you go.
There we go. Come on, roaches. Another scam.
Like, fire!
And roaches are like so tough in comparison to the damage that 1 Hellion does, but silliness of that Hellion aside, it looks like HyuN, he's starting to gear himself up for a little something. How much will he really commit here? I'm not exactly sure, just because the tanks of Polt, we saw it in the last game, we're seeing it again here. It is indeed one of those anchors. Spire also going to be coming up for HyuN.
So a little bit of a difference here from HyuN. He's not going to invest in the +2 attack for his range. He's going to get the melee immediately, realizing that he does not want to fall behind in it like he did last time. And he's already getting a Spire in his Banelings, so I think he put down a Hydra. Oh, did he actually cancel it? Because look where the Spire is being made. I could have sworn that he had put a Hydra in there, but maybe it was just a Spire. So he's skipping the Hydras completely. I like it. I like it.
That does certainly open up opportunities to spend that gas that he would have been dumping into Hydras, into those Mutas. As you mentioned last game, when he did go for the quote-unquote Muta switch, I think it was literally 7 Mutas. At least that was the first wave. And not exactly the strength and numbers that you would really expect from Mutas. Not really enough to do anything.
They did a lot of nothing, though. That's pretty much what they did. Like, they flew around,
true.
like, yo, look at that, come at me, you know. But Polt came at them and just kind of shredded them. So this time it's going to be a little bit better, you know. Not investing so much gas into the Hydras means that he's not going to have quite a strong push, but he is going to be able to go into this kind of standard late game macro style against Polt here on Iron Fortress, which is a great map to do so if you can keep up with Polt.
Polt and his, I believe, like 140-something supply block. A little bit of a problem there, as he has gotten supply blocked in a couple of the games that we've seen of him. Somewhere in between, one time it was like at 86 for quite a while. So he tends to have like these, I don't know, probably like 8 to 15-minute supply blocks, which in this particular case, not hurting him too much, just a minor bit of a setback.
Yeah, I mean, last game we saw Polt pretty much around the same supply as HyuN, and a lot of his supply was in Roaches before too. Roaches and Hydras. This time he's going into the Lingbane Muta, and he is already maxed. I think Polt was nearly maxed at the last game. Not so much this time, and we'll see how it's going to play out here. I'm definitely feeling HyuN's position, but it's so such a strange style. I like it. I want to know how he like actually utilizes it, because he's getting the ranged attack right now again, but he's also getting the melee. So that 2-2-2. Will he continue to pump Roaches out in the late game, or is he just gonna have it to have it?
Ooh, couple of Mutas being donated away there by HyuN. At least one of them does go down there. Polt, he's starting to kick in those upgrades. Last game, we did see a big commitment into the siege tanks. Now he's starting to mix in those Widow Mines just because of the comp. Here comes a big, almost surround coming in from HyuN. Roaches on the right side and the left, but these tanks, once again, providing that splash damage from a range that Polt needs to survive.
And he needs to trade right now, HyuN. He can't let Polt really get too far onto his creep, because he's playing with the... Yeah, he just started making a lot of... I don't know what it was that he made, but he was up to like 90-something drones, and only now up to 88 because he had to make buildings. But here comes some Banelings right now, crashing onto the Marauders, unfortunately. Uh-oh, is this going to be enough here, Cybert?
HyuN once again not really able to crush through that army of Polt. It's just going to become a bit more difficult as 2-2 finishes up for Polt. He's now going to be up on the 1-2 of HyuN. You mentioned the kind of triple upgrades, and I guess maybe one of the costs is that his 2-2 is a bit later than it was in comparison to the last game, where he was actually up on upgrades for a very short time. Once again, the Banelings, they're going to be looking for those good hits, but they have to be so careful about these Widow Mines. One Widow Mine fires off some pretty solid connections as Polt does get pushed back. The majority of his forces wiped out. The reinforcement train should be enough to at least kind of dampen this attack from HyuN. Will he actually be able to stop it, though?
I think he might be able to. That was one of the trades that he needed here, because now Polt is not on the edge of his creep anymore. He's actually on the map, and they're about to go retreat to his own base. And a good surround with the Lings, but there's no bane just yet. They're going to hit the door. Uh-oh. Those hit the Marines. That would have looked a lot different, but it's still looking pretty okay here for HyuN.
Widow Mines detonating on a medevac, and a couple of Marines doing that splash damage and literally killing off one of the medevacs. And in just contrast to that, Polt doesn't have a lot of medevacs, so losing medevacs is definitely not something that he wants to do. You mentioned the worker supply. As we start to look towards a potentially maxed situation again, if HyuN doesn't start trading out that supply a bit more efficiently, he's going to be in a situation where Polt will just be up that 22 supply that's in drones.
Yeah, and he needs to hit his macro really hard. Like, it's so important that when you play with such a high economy that you have the larva to keep up with that Ling production, because it's not like you're making ultras right now, so the larva is so important.
62 Lings.
Yeah,
on the
that's
way.
a lot of Lings coming up. And then he even hit his injects right there, so that's going to be another flood of Lings as well. As soon as they do trade here, we'll see how the trade does go. Mutas, though, finally, they haven't been able to do much, right? Like, pretty much making up for last game here.
They've been trying to do stuff, but most of the time they were just running into Thors. You kind of mentioned the lack of what they were doing in the previous game, and again, for the first 19 minutes, that's what they're doing. They're starting to actually make some headway. 15 mutas, so he's lost 2 since the initial attack. There's a couple of waves of Zerglings going to be running in towards kind of the 4th of Polt. This is a lot of Marines. Well, not enough Marines, I should say, as more Banelings going to be rolling in. 13 SCVs are down with more Banelings coming in. The connections should be pretty solid. Almost 30 SCVs killed. Widowmine's burrowing at the wrong time. That was actually a reasonable cleanup of the Banelings, but trading out for quite a lot, and keep in mind that the Mutas ended up switching over to the 3rd base, clearing some of that out as well. Nearly 40 SCVs down.
Workers, yeah, and all of that. Holy moly. HyuN is making it happen right now. He is going to be able to get a really nice position here. 87 drones to 29 SCVs. You may say, oh, but that leaves so much room for Polt's army, but guess what? He doesn't have the fuel to even make that army at the moment right now, and for him to ever get to that full army, I just don't see it happening with the kind of pressure that he got. Widowmine hits like so many Banelings, but there are so many behind it. Is it going to be enough? No, that was a huge Widowmine hit.
Those splits were actually great from Polt, enough to deal with the, something 40, 30 Banelings that got morphed in immediately before that engagement. Polt is starting to step on to creep in a brave way that he hasn't been able to do up to this game. Mutas going to be coming in once again. There's about 15 Mutas out on the field, and the reinforcements are what HyuN's going to be relying on. Some not Baneling connections. That group of Marines shredding the Banelings as they try to get into this engagement, and HyuN is taking this fight, but I'm not sure if it's cost-effective enough, is it?
I think it just may be only because of how much damage that he did to the economy of Polt. That was a very scary situation right there, that Widowmine allowed Polt to get this momentum. Oh, he has to cancel all the Banes. Oh my god. Well, he has no Banelings here, Cybert. He has to make Banelings. He has 21 Mutas and 16 Lings.
Oh, this line of drones is going to get massacred, which probably would have been a bigger deal a little bit earlier, but he does still have nearly 80 drones left, so that's not a big deal. Medevacs, it looks like there's a medevac per Marine. GG! HyuN takes us back 1-1 and heads into the ace match of our first series. He is not going down without a fight. He's like, WCS champion, you still bleed.
Alright, everybody, welcome back here to the ASL Prime League Season 5. We're in game number 3 of the first series of the night. Or day, I guess, depending on where you are. But for us, it is nighttime, and here we have a WCS champion himself. Can he take this one? He's blue, he's Terran. It is.
CM Storm, Polt.
On the other side of the map, in the bottom right-hand corner, he also is a WCS champion, just not from 2015. This is...
Team Rocket, HyuN.
You are correct. You even said it, that even champions bleed, and, Polt used to be red, and he switched to blue, and now HyuN is just, wearing the blood. He's like, yeah, that's right, he, took it and wearing his face paint right now, just I took your color. Come and get it back here, as whoever wins is going to be going to the winner's match, and
has the winning player been wearing blue both games?
I believe Polt was blue on the first game, right?
So actually, I mean, we're all about superstition here. We got all of the ASL champions to quit out of the tournament by cursing them, and now we may have discovered that the power of Somehow, the power of wearing blue just like makes you better at StarCraft 2.
Yep. That's a good rhyme you made there too, Cybert. I like it.
It's that Team Tempo tag that I wore earlier. It's giving me the rhyming
It's like
skills.
rubbing off on you for real.
The variations, man. We got 2 Reapers coming up. The nice thing is that as this is Terran form, it's got that little Reaper cliff. Supply depots and pylons can block off that Reaper cliff easy peasy. Zergs are notoriously bad at building both of those things. They're just so bad at it.
I mean, he could try to put like a hatchery there, but I mean, I wouldn't go that far. You know, it's like I really don't want Reapers to come up here, so instead he's just gonna have Lings here waiting for him. And
strats.
Yeah, you said the variation. So the difference between this kind of build is that all of that kind of either greed or even tech out of Polt is going to be delayed here in order to put a little bit more pressure here on HyuN, who hasn't really had too much pressure put on him, and has actually been opening in a way that at least would prevent pressure from being put on him. So if he does a similar opener, I feel like the 3 Reapers don't really do much in combination with the Hellions if you have Roaches out anyway. So I think Polt is hoping or anticipating that HyuN might decide to just open up more standard and skip the Roaches. But HyuN skipping Roaches? You a fool.
That's ridiculous. Polt is really banking on HyuN, not doing anything too crazy aggressive. Uh-oh. Polt Willie raises good. He does raise his supply depots in time. He does not want HyuN to know that he is going for another, like, 24 third CC. These are quick third CCs. Not necessarily, like, super crazy fast, because, again, he is getting 3 Reapers. He is getting the factory. Not the fastest third CC we've ever seen, but definitely quick.
Oh, yeah. Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. He's going to add another factory.
What?
Oh,
no way.
But it's only 1 gas, so I think it's going to be Blue Flame.
Okay, all right. You're right. There is only 1 gas. His natural orbital is going to be finishing up in a couple of moments here, and he's still not adding on his gases. All right. I thought we were going to see history in the making.
Me too.
I mean, if you guys think back to some GSL matches from maybe earlier today, Fantasy vs. Beal, then you may be having some nightmares about mech.
Yeah.
Although, spoiler alert, if you saw those games and you're a Zerg player, you're probably cheering.
Is that a mind game here? Yeah, I'm just kidding. I just, that's the ultimate unspoiler alert.
I'm just saying, those are good games. Fantasy vs. Beal, people, check them out.
Yeah. Don't you find it kind of peculiar that, like, Polt... I mean, if he does it, we're not obviously confirming that it is going to be Blue Flame. Okay, it's not. A reactor on that second factory. So, I was going to say, like, HyuN, a player who's been opening up Roaches every time, it's like, are you really banking on HyuN not going Roaches? And if you would have put all of your eggs in one basket to go Blue Flame, it probably wouldn't have been the smartest idea. And Polt is a pretty smart cookie, so...
He definitely is quite the cookie. We'll have to see what sort of crumble happens later in this game. 3 bunkers going to be coming up. As you mentioned, it is lots of Hellions. We've got 30 Lings coming out. Banglings are also going to be on the way. These rocks are not going to be down soon enough to stop these Roaches. Fortunately for Polt, he's a guy who knows how to control. So he's got those 3 Reapers. They're going to absorb a couple of shots and also get out that extra bit of DPS. In this situation, every bit helps. And the supply depot wall, well, it's going to start taking a bit of damage.
And it is a Roach Bane attack coming out of HyuN right now. There are 3 bunkers, but there's not enough units to fill them all. He's starting to make them now. But this is going to hit before Polt has enough. I mean, this is going to do a lot of damage, but these Widow Mines, they could. I like how he's unburrowing them manually, but here we go, Cybert. The Widow Mine doesn't hit what it needed to, and here come the Roaches, the Banes. Polt only has Hellions and Reapers, and once again, what are they going to do against this Roach Bane attack?
For now, they're actually keeping the Banes mostly away from the SCVs. A couple of detonations there doing some pretty massive damage. Lings is going to be coming in, trying to finish off the job as Roaches step forward from the low ground. 18 SCVs have gone down. Keep in mind, this is a triple orbital build. If Polt loses SCVs, Mule's going to be his best chance to come back in this, and he is just taking so much damage. His production is actually going to be kind of camped by like 1 Roach as he tries to deal with the rest of these units with basically SCVs alone. 30 SCVs down now. Widow Mines burrowing to deal with this Roach. Goodbye. He's held, technically.
Yeah, you know,
Kind of.
in the sense that he doesn't have any more roaches in his base, but he's gonna hold his line, holding the main. He has Buddha Mines at the top of the ramp, but Banelings are morphing inside of his natural right now, and HyuN is not done yet. The Banelings.
If only they were off. Cool down. More SCVs are going to be slaughtered. Polt refusing to leave this game. He's still hope against hope. 41 SCVs now down as more Banglings waddling in, trying to connect with the Hellions. Polt microing around, running around his factories, dancing endlessly against the Zerg unit, but this is just comical at this point.
GG! And HyuN is going to be able to take that game. He takes the series here, 2-1.